Hey guys, welcome to Precious Cargo. I'm Precious, and today I am joined by one of my longtime friends, Kat Scarlett. Hi, Kat.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Anytime. I'm so excited. So, Kat is the host of Glo Eco Podcast, as well as the founder of my favorite skincare line, Glotanicals. And we have known each other for quite some time now, actually. I think it's been well over a decade.
Yeah, for sure. We met in college, Go Vols.
Go Vols.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. Like we met at like a very just when we were like babies, like kind of
Yeah.
figuring things out, and it's
Yeah.
so interesting just to see kind of where our journeys have taken us since then. And
Mhm.
that's what I love about having like longtime friends is kind of like seeing that evolution is just really interesting and like one of my favorite things ever.
Love it. We actually met when we were both into fashion, and you're still, I'm guessing, kind of in the fashion industry in a way. We'll get to that later, but we
Hmm.
met doing like Knoxville and Chattanooga Fashion Week. Both moved to New York around the same, literally the exact same time, actually.
Hmm.
It was wild. Do you miss being like knee deep in the fashion industry?
So, kind of. I mean, there's some things I've always loved fashion. I still love it, just as a consumer, and I love the art of it. I think
Mm,
there's a really fun aspect to working in a creative industry, but the actual like fashion industry itself, no, I don't, because it is cutthroat. And also, I think the other thing to remember is that when I was in fashion, when we were both in fashion, I don't know about your experience, but for my experience, like it was very much pre Me Too. It was very much pre like women looking out for women.
oh,
Like
yeah.
I had a lot of experiences where, yeah, especially with women, it was very like dog eat dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, and yeah, it's like people were stepping all over each other to get to the
Mm-hmm.
top. And
It's awful. It was awful.
yeah, like I do not miss that at all.
Yeah.
It wasn't until, thank God, I ended up in tech right after fashion, where for the first time I was working with really successful, like badass women who
Mm.
were nice and wanted to like help you out.
Well,
And
I
they
love
were all from like tech and finance. And I'm so grateful for that because I think if I hadn't had that experience early on, I would have thought women had to be mean to each other to be
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah. No, it was like I remember I forgot which fashion show it was, but it was like my fifth venue working in, and I had an idea, and I told my colleagues at the time, like, "Hey, we're missing these things. Why don't we do this?" They literally ran back and told our manager, and they were like took full credit for everything, and I was just like, "That wasn't even your idea, that was my idea, and now you're being praised for something that was my idea." But I didn't care enough, I think, to be like, "Hold on, like, no, that's my idea," and then they got promoted the next season, and I'm just like, "Those were my ideas." Like, that's literal what, intellectual property theft now or something? Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, "Okay, well, whatever." Honestly, like, you guys be my guest, enjoy eating your carrots for the rest of your life because they don't pay me enough to be here anyways. Like, I mean, we're only making $15 an hour in the fashion world, and it's like, "Hi, I'm hungry." Like, I was literally like, I refused to ask my parents for help after I moved, and I was
Mhm.
literally living on carrots for, like, 3 months straight. I
Yeah.
was starving.
Yeah, no, for sure, and, like, that's the other reason why I left as well because I was making, like, 30K in, like, a
Mhm.
full-time job,
And you were living in
and
Brooklyn.
yeah, I was living in Brooklyn, and the other thing is, like, people think that you make a lot of money in fashion, but
Mhm.
what they don't tell you is that a lot of the people who make it to those, like, top jobs, they look like they're making a lot of money because they come from money. Like, they're probably making 100K, but it doesn't matter because like, they don't need a salary.
Mm. And I've noticed too, like, a lot of the people like, I was in production, so I was, like, the behind the scenes person, and I noticed that, like, a lot of the people who could take a lot of the internships and who could take a lot of the things were the people who weren't working. Like,
Yeah.
I had to pass on so many different internships because I needed to have a full-time job in addition to 18 freelance work, like, jobs, because I needed to survive. Like, I needed to pay my rent. I needed to make sure I had food on the table. Like, I needed to make sure I wasn't actually starving. And a lot of these people, like, came from money. They had their
Mhm.
parents pay for everything, and it's like, yeah, I could have asked my parents for that, but, they were like, "You're not gonna make any money in fashion, don't do it." And so I'd had to prove a point, and so I refused to ask them for help.
Yeah. I kinda did something similar, and I just racked up, like, a lot of credit card debt. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the secret, like, it's not it
Uh,
is a fantasy in some ways, like,
mhm.
just because you see someone out there doing the thing, don't mean that they're actually successful.
Like, I literally would go on dates with men just so I could have, like, food. Like, that would be my dinner and my lunch and dinner for the next, like, couple of days.
When I wanted to go somewhere nice, I would go on a date.
Like, forget nice, I didn't care if we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, like, I just wanted something to eat.
Yeah,
The things they don't tell you when you go to art school.
for real, yeah, it's so in that sense, no, I don't miss and people were horrible, like, that's why I
Yeah,
left,
yeah,
but there's certain aspects of the industry working in a creative industry, but I feel like I
mhm,
do that now
yeah,
in the work that I do. And now it's just on a smaller scale. Like I'm
mhm,
working with small business owners and female entrepreneurs and things like that in the circles that I'm in. And I find that I'm still kind of like on the creative side, but
mhm,
it's just much more uplifting. I don't know. I mean, like now I guess I'm more discerning and surrounding
yeah,
myself with a certain type of women and entrepreneur versus the people that are going to step all over you. And I love that.
yeah, I love that for you.
Yeah.
So what was your wildest fashion, like, week or New York City story? I have so many.
Oh, yeah. A lot. I liked, even though I did have kind of a horrible experience, like I do believe in like I'm a professional to the 10th degree.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
so I'm not going to go out there and smear people, but
yeah.
I can tell like some kind of like private behind the scenes stories. Like I remember like I was an executive assistant and like I wasn't allowed to like eat anywhere near my boss. Like if they saw me eating a banana, they would be like, "You're gonna get fat, like, you can't do that." And
Like,
I was like,
literally, The Devil Wears Prada. Okay, 6.
"Yeah,
Wow, wow.
yeah," and, like, my culture as well would so I felt like I was being used a little bit in the sense that, like, sometimes my boss would, like, dress me up in, like, the new clothes and bring me along to, like, business meetings that were really just, like, fancy lunches and be like, "Look how pretty she looks in our clothes," like,
Mm,
and sometimes he would use my background and my culture as like I don't know what the word is, but he would use it as like a insult on other people sometimes. Like he'd be
like
like,
Southern?
yeah, so I'm from the South, I'm from the Appalachians, I'm from the Smoky Mountains, just like
Mhm.
Precious. And he would say, like, look at Kat, she's from Tennessee and she has more class than you to
Oh
other
my
people.
god!
For real? And he would kinda take me as, like, a project, like, "See, I taught her everything she knows." And then sometimes, if depending on the mood, he would be like, "Kat, you know nothing, you're from there, like, just shut up," like, so sometimes it would be used as, like, a weapon against other
Oh
people, and,
my
like, that was
gosh.
surprising. It was really funny, actually.
Wow, that is so as if people from East Tennessee can't be cultured. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Where was he from?
France, I think.
Oh, well, alright. We're just gonna
So
leave
we
it at that.
think, we're not really sure.
So he claims.
Yeah.
Wait, so whenever you were did you ever do, like, anything with, Fashion Week or anything when you were up there?
Not in New York, I only did the
Okay,
smaller ones. I snuck
okay.
into some shows, but I didn't
Yeah.
work
Oh, it
them.
was so easy to sneak into, are you kidding? Like, the security was like a joke. But I will say, like, New York gets a bad rep as far as, like, people being rude and different things. Like, yeah, when you're working in certain industries, sure. But I met some of my very best friends there, like,
Yeah.
people that I literally talk to every single day, like, and the best part about it is that no one's from there really. I
Mhm.
mean, it's only like 10% of people in New York that are actually from New York.
Yeah.
And like, all of my friends I met were from, like, New Orleans and Florida, and it was just so nice and so lovely, like, I literally, like, just came back from visiting one of my friends I met up there, and it was just I don't know. I love
Yeah.
them. I love
No,
them so
I
much.
loved it. Like, New York is, like, still one of my favorite places in the world.
Mhm.
Yep, I also think people are very nice there, and it's I always tell people, like, if you're in your early 20s, especially, like, if you're, like, graduating college and you're trying to figure out what to do, just go to New York. Like, there are
Yeah.
so many people there in the same boat. It's kinda like second college in a
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
because everyone's there just trying to make it. It's easy to see people, like, there's vibrant social life, like, I think going in your 20s is, like, the best thing you can do for your career, for your
Yes.
life, because when you're older and you're used to, like, another kind of lifestyle, it's hard.
Mhm.
Like, I think it would be hard for me to go back to living in, like, an 800 square foot apartment again, but at the time, it was awesome.
Yeah. No, I
And
loved
going out
it.
all the time too, like, I don't go out all the time anymore, but
Yeah, I don't go out at all, but, like, I sleep better when I hear sirens than, like, at my parents' house when it's, like, pitch black, silent, like, I'm just like, "What's out there? What was that? Was that
yeah,
a bird?" Like, I don't know. I, like, love, like, the city life. Like, I'm a big city girl
me
more
too.
than
I like the
the small
balance though
town.
of both.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm really but, like, it depends on the city. Like, San Francisco, I
Mm.
find draining, but I feel so energized when I'm in New York, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Have you ever, like, seen the astro lines where it's like you feel more energetic and like your I need to look into that more. Like, apparently, like, based on, like, your chart and
Mhm.
everything, like, they have lines that, like, wherever it is on there, certain places are better for, like, making money, certain places are, like,
Mm.
more draining, certain cities are better for, like, starting a family, like, there's so many different things. Like, I really wanna see mine because I feel more energetic and more productive in larger cities. Like, I
Mhm.
get more done. Like, I'm in Nashville this weekend, and I've gotten so much done. My book is like you guys, my book is almost done, and I've just been editing and editing all weekend. I have recorded podcasts all weekend. I don't know, like, when I'm, like, at home, like, when I'm in Knoxville, I just don't feel, like,
Oh my god.
productive, right?
Same. Dude, I'm exhausted. Like, as soon as I don't know if it's because 'cause I'm going home to where I grew up. Like, when I
Yeah.
go to Knoxville, I go to my parents' house, and
Mhm.
I just sleep. Like, I'm
Yes.
exhausted every time I'm there. It's just like I crash.
Yes. Like, I literally, like, can't get out of bed. I feel
It's
so
crazy.
drained. The energy is just so draining to
Can
me.
we look into that? Because like, what is
Yeah,
that?
yeah, we need to figure this out, and our birthdays are a week apart too, so that there could be we're onto something here.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
both feel like we're super energized in New York and in certain cities, like, I feel energized in Nashville too.
Yes, like, I mean, I was on a reality show here, like, I've done so many different things here, and I just feel like I am very creative when I'm in Nashville. I don't
Mhm.
know, it's interesting.
Okay, let's
Wait,
look
do
into
you
it. That's our homework.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Do you remember when we were I think it was, like, the East Indian parade weekend, and those
Oh,
people were throwing limes at us? Do you
Labor
remember?
Day?
Yeah,
Yes, I totally
that
forgot about that
was
until
so
you just
funny.
brought it up.
That was so funny. Literally, like okay, so we were walking to some club was
It
in
was like a
Brooklyn
hookah club, wasn't it?
Yeah, like in Brooklyn Heights or somewhere, and these people rolled down their windows and threw limes at us. Like,
I don't know why, I never understood
I
that.
don't understand why. Like, what was that?
Dude, we used to do some sketchy shit.
No, literally, why are we out?
In that part of town, like,
I
what on
know,
earth were we thinking?
I know, and I think, like, the week before or something was when that, like, Duke student got stabbed or something there. Do you
One of
remember
my
that?
roommates got stabbed around there.
My god.
For real. I used to live in Crown Heights at the time.
Oh my gosh.
For everyone who doesn't know, like, Crown Heights is, like, where Jay-Z is from, I think.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that's the case, but I
interesting.
can't
Okay.
remember exactly. So there's one half of Crown Heights that's, like, super Hasidic, and the other half is, like, Caribbean.
Mhm. Yeah.
But I think it's more gentrified now, but back then it was not.
I don't know where the limes came from. I don't know what we were doing out. I used to walk around the streets of Brooklyn, like, literally at 2, 3, 4 o'clock, and I lived in Jersey, so, like, I would literally do that commute at, like, 4 AM. Why?
Mhm.
Like, am I okay? Like, how was I like, how did we survive? Do you ever think
I
about
don't
this?
know, like, the amount of sketchy situations I found myself in. But even still to this day, I find San Francisco more sketchy than New York.
Weird. I've never been. Ooh.
It's different because I feel like in New York, you could kinda tell when people were being sketch, and you
Mhm.
could kind of like spot that. But in San Francisco, it's different. It's not just like there's criminals roaming around. There are literally crazy people, like mentally disturbed crazy people everywhere. Like, and it's I find that more scary because at least
Yeah.
someone who's like a criminal, like I know what they're after. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you want to like rob me. But a
Okay, here.
crazy person, you don't know what they want.
I don't think they want anything besides to be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I feel more uncomfortable in San Francisco for sure. Like in New York, I feel safe there.
I feel safe in New York. I feel safe. Like, I had never had anyone and the best part about New York is, like, everyone's so self-absorbed, they just mind their business. Like, no one is looking at you, like, everyone's in their phone or they're reading a book or they're in their own little world, like, they can be like, "Oh, look at that crazy girl, like, walking at 2 AM. I'm gonna leave her alone because she's obviously, like, a freak," because who would do that?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, like, I truly feel so much like, I feel safer there than I feel anywhere else that I go.
Yeah, and the key I think is also like your confidence as well. If you're walking
Mm.
around the street late at night like, oh my God,
"Oh
who's
my
gonna
god,
get me?"
someone's gonna get me."
Yeah, then you look like a target. But if you walk like
Mhm.
you know where the fuck you're going,
Mhm.
nobody's gonna bother you, you
And I'll
know?
cuss you out in a heartbeat. Like,
Yeah.
all these, like, you have to be aggressive. Like, they're so aggressive sometimes, like, especially, like, drivers and stuff, and they're, like, in your face. I remember landing, last year at JFK, and this cab driver he wasn't even a cab driver, I don't know who he was. He, like, grabbed my bag. I said, "If you don't let my shit go right now, I'm gonna throat punch you because what are you doing?"
No, I know. Yeah, you have to like speak up, you have to be aggressive,
Mhm.
when the moment calls. So New York, I think in any big city, like especially when you're by yourself,
Mhm.
'tis not the time to be demure.
No.
And I don't think either one of us has been demure a day in our lives.
No, this is the time for you touch me, that's gonna be the last time you ever touch someone else. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's like
I
a
love
Southern
that.
girl thing, I don't know.
100%. Like, they think that we're so cute and so sweet and so innocent. Okay, we're
Some
cute.
of them are, but I think we're just different.
So, how did you go from working in the fashion industry to what you do now as far as, like, your activism and everything?
Yeah, so I what's interesting is it did kind of come together in a roundabout way, but I left, fashion because I wanted to make money.
Yeah, yeah,
And
same.
so I ended up in tech, and I
Mhm.
worked at a startup in New York, and it was amazing, I loved it, like, the people there were fantastic, and
Mm.
some of them I still keep in touch with today, like, it was awesome, and, but one of there were many reasons why I left fashion, it was, like, the culture, it was the low salary, it was all of that stuff, but also, while I was working in fashion was around the same time as the Bangladesh factory collapse, and that really woke up, I think, the entire industry
Mhm,
to wow, like there's a real impact to what we're doing and
mhm.
buying paying maximum like $8 per garment to make them overseas and ship them. And, it was the first time I had woken up to kind of the impacts of being part of a global supply chain like that and unethical manufacturing practices. My company wasn't using the factory that collapsed, but it just woke up the entire industry. It woke me up to thinking about that, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is so screwed up. Like we're spending $8 per garment max. Most of them were much cheaper than that. Selling them for 120, $150, and pricing them to be marked on sale and to end up at resale stores, and like it seemed useless and wasteful to me. And but that's not I didn't really start an activism at that time. And so I got into tech, ended up moving to Australia with my now husband, and living in Australia is when I really woke up to actually be in activism. And that's because I saw the effects of climate change up close and personal. I've always been a huge nature lover, a huge
Mhm,
animal lover. Like I've always been like that, but
mhm.
I didn't really make the connection until I was living in Australia, seeing the effects of climate change up close and personal, seeing the Great Barrier Reef and what was happening to it, living in Sydney during the worst wildfires the country had ever seen, seeing images of millions of hectares of land burned, of animals burnt to a crisp, trapped in barbed wire fences, trying to flee, seeing the smoke, smelling the smoke every day. It was like Armageddon. And I just made
God.
me, it lit something in me. I felt so angry and upset.
Mm.
And I was like, I can't turn away from this anymore. So I started getting involved with Greenpeace and all of that. And, yeah, that's when everything kind of started to come together for me. And I started the skincare brand at the same time
Mhm.
because I was looking to be more low waste in my life, but I'm also a bougie bitch at the end of the day. And everything that was low waste at the time was like, use this bar of soap and coconut oil for your entire body. And I was like, that blows. So I wanted a luxurious, effective skincare product that met my needs as a skincare junkie, as someone who likes luxury beauty, that was truly sustainable and not just greenwashed. And that was 5 years ago. And my activism journey has continued since then, being involved with Greenpeace, more recently, Al Gore's Climate Reality Project, and just learning along the way, starting a brand and then starting a podcast. But I do look at things a little differently because I think I did start out in the fashion industry and I've seen kind of behind the scenes of making products like that. And so it wasn't a one for one. It was a long winding journey, but I think it all kind of comes together and we have those experiences for a reason.
I love that. I actually really love like how you turned your passion into purpose. I feel like
Mm,
I know we talked about it on your podcast too, about finding your life purpose and how important it is to have a purpose. And if you don't know what it is, the different modalities that you can take in order to find that and to go there. And I love that you used your life experiences to take you to where you are now. It's beautiful. It's really, especially like when I have my friends on here and it's like we've been on these journeys together for so
mhm.
long. It's so nice and so lovely to see like just the evolution of like not just ourselves but like each other, and how like I love friends that are really low maintenance and we don't have to talk every day and we can see each other once every now and then, and yet we're always still aligned at the same places in life. And I love that. Like that's such an invaluable thing to have. If you guys don't have that, please find it. Like it is such a beautiful thing to watch. It's like little butterflies. Like I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
so nice and sweet.
Yeah, and I think trust also that sometimes friendships as well take different paths. Like
Mm.
I moved when we left New York, we kind of lost touch a little bit because we were
Mhm.
going on, not for any particular reason, but just because I was moving to Australia, you were kind of moving back to Tennessee. And, it was just kind of a natural evolution of like, we just were kind of going in different paths. And then we ended up reconnecting at the
Mhm.
exact right time when we were, I think, energetically aligned and
Yeah.
in a similar headspace again. And so maybe think about that as well. Like if you're thinking about someone, like, hey, like we connected on this a while ago, like maybe it's time to reconnect. Like follow
Mm.
that gut instinct because
Yes.
it's okay for friendships to go through different phases and because your life goes through different phases. I was just living in Australia. Like
Right.
that's all it was.
Yeah.
So I would encourage people as well, like maybe if you haven't talked to someone in a little bit but you're feeling that urge, like call them.
Mhm. I love
Maybe
that.
now's the time.
Now's the time. I actually so a friend of mine I hadn't spoken to, I haven't seen in like a year, and I had a reoccurring dream 4 nights in a row of this person, and I have never had a dream about them before in the, like, 15 years that we've known each other. And
Wow.
so I, like, reached out and I was just like, "Hey, are you good?" And he was like, "No," and I'm like, "Okay, you can call me if you need to talk." Like, that was so wild. Ooh, I do wanna tell you about, like, my prophetic dreams that I've been having t
Please do because we've been talking about this a little bit and I'm down for anything that you've been hearing on the other side. Times be a crazy.
So, I'm literally skipping over, like, 2 sections, we can go back to them later, but, like, I had a dream that okay, this is so off topic, but all of my
I have to
dreams that
know.
I've been having have been coming true, like, from the past, like, 3 to 4 months. So, I had a dream that I was in Walmart, like, 4 months ago searching for dog stuff. Like, I was searching for a dog bed, I was searching for, like, food and everything, and I was on the
Do you
phone with
have a
my
dog?
mom. It gets creepy. Oh, right, yeah, so this was, like, 3 to 4 months ago before I even moved, before anything, right? So, my parents have lived in their home for and I wrote it down, I have a dream journal, I write down all of my dreams. My parents have lived in their home for about 25 years. It's a farm, it's very far out, like, there's no way to find it unless you know where you're going, okay?
Mhm.
There was a dog last week that showed up on the front porch of my parents' house. My mom, they're rarely home. And so she sent me a video from her Blink camera. And she was just like, "Hey, do you care to go by the house and check on this dog that just showed up on the porch?" Dude, a dog just showed up on the porch, and what do you know? I'm looking for the dog bed. I'm looking for, like, I'm literally doing all of those right. Isn't that insane?
Mhm.
Isn't that insane?
That's
I have
crazy.
never taken care, aside from Alex, I have never taken care of any, like, other living person before in my life. Any living anything. Like, I've never had my own pet. Like, I had a
Yeah.
fish once, but it lived, like, a week, I got it from Walmart, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, I have no idea how this dog just, like, popped out of my dream and came to life in 3 months, but she did, and now I have a dog. And
Wow.
she Yeah, her name is Lady. She's perfect. I love her.
Oh my
Um,
god.
I know, it's so weird, and so that leads me to the dream that I had a couple of nights ago. So I had a dream that it's election season in the US. I know we have some listeners who are in other countries, but it's election season in the US,
Mhm.
and it's a crazy time because we are dealing with people who are in a cult and they don't realize they're in a cult, and it's really scary sometimes.
Yeah.
They exhibit cult-like behavior, I should say. I don't want to
Yeah.
get sued. And I had a dream that the election was a landslide. A landslide.
I
Yeah.
hope so, man.
Let me tell you, all of my dreams have come true. There is not one thing that has ever come out of my mouth that has not come true. And I don't mean to sound like crazy or cocky or like whatever about it, but like I am extremely prophetic. Is prophetic a word? I'm extremely prophetic, and it's just a beautiful gift that I have. I mean, even like remember when I was telling you about like the guy that I was going to marry?
Yeah.
Like, I already know these things, like, these are just things that, like, anytime I say it, it happens, it just is what it is. So, homegirl's winning in a landslide, and I'm very excited about it.
Dude, I hope so. I am, like, very nervous about it. Like, I'm trying not to think about it too much because I started getting more engaged in politics, I would say, in 2016 when
Mhm,
Donald Trump won,
mhm.
and I think that was when a lot of us woke up to, "Holy
Yep,
shit, we actually need to be engaged here, otherwise this."
and the Electoral College really needs a little rework as well because
Yeah.
there's no reason someone can win a popular vote and lose the presidency. Like, that what to me, that is what really woke me up to it. I was just like, "Wow, this is actually insane."
Yeah, and, like, we have to stay engaged, we have to keep
Mhm.
working, and but I think from, like, 2016 to, like, 18, 19, like and I was living in Australia from 2018 as well, and, like, I would wake up every because of the time zone difference, I would wake up to, like, notifications of, like, another Supreme Court justice stepped down, and blah,
Mm,
blah, blah. Trump did this, Trump did that, and I was driving myself crazy,
yeah.
like and I was, like, it was so funny because like, I would get, like, drunk at, like, dinner parties and start, like, railing on politics to everybody, and my husband had to tell me, like, "Kat, these are all Australians, they don't give a fuck, like, stop, like, hammering people about this," and I was like, "Oh, I'm that person." And so I had to rail it back, and so I try to, like, do my duty of, like,
Mhm.
speaking with, representatives about climate policy and things with the organizations I'm a part of, voting, getting involved in local initiatives. That's where I put my energy. I don't put my energy in reading every fricking headline and getting worked up about everything because it is a waste of energy,
Mhm.
and
My
it turns me
favorite
into a psycho.
No, it's literally, like, my favorite are the people on Facebook who are just, like, ranting. They'd never watched the debate. They'd never, like, listened to an actual them, like, speech where they're talking about policy. They were just like,
Yeah.
"Well, my cousin John Boy said that,"
They're
and I'm
eating the pets.
oh my god, I can't. I can't. Like, and I'm speaking from someone who, just like you, like, we were raised in a very conservative town, and I don't even wanna say conservative because I feel like that puts a bad name to conservatives, but, like, I don't know how to kindly, like, say it's a cult.
It
Okay,
is.
it's a cult. Like, so these are people who are in a cult, and they're going crazy and literally, like, by my new job. there's a
Mhm.
red light and they camp out there every day.
Oh,
And I'm just like, you guys don't have anything to do. Like, you're talking about people stealing your jobs and doing this and doing that. Go to work. Like, why do you have time to sit here and do this? I work like 18,000 jobs. Like, how do you have time
for
to sit
real.
here all day and camp out with like your little flags and everything? Like, it's psychotic.
It is.
It's psychotic.
Well, it's crazy, and, like, I'm okay with people having different opinions than
Yeah.
me, as long as they're informed opinions.
Mhm.
But the thing is, a lot of these people will say, like, "I don't like Harris Walls, for instance, or Barack
Mhm.
Obama. I don't like them because of this XYZ." And it's like,
Where'd
that's
you get
not a
that information?
fact, right?
Yeah, like, where
Like,
did this
that's not a
information come from?
yeah, and it's not a real thing.
Mhm.
They don't know anything about the policies.
Mhm.
They don't know anything about Trump's policies, which actually hurt blue collar people in America, but they don't
Mhm.
give a shit. That's why it's a cult, because it's like, can you name a single one of his policies or one of the things that he did in office that you
Right.
agree with?
Right.
They can't.
My
There's even some
favorite.
things that I agree with that he did in
Mhm.
terms of I can't remember, not many things, but for instance, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like making it legal to go after manufacturers of the opioid crisis and
Mm.
letting certain types of criminals off on shorter sentences. There's a little bit of prison reform. I am not too prideful to say that, yeah, that's a good policy. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But on the whole, absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Absolutely not. No. Honestly, he lost me with like the Central Park 5 situation and like
Oh,
he my favorite, so everyone knows that I have fertility issues. Someone literally came up to me the other day and they were like, "Why are you not voting for Trump when he wants to make IVF for free?" Okay,
what?
it gets worse. So, I don't think people realize that the people who are having these later term let's just give them their buzzwords, the late term abortions, right?
Yeah.
So the people who are having these things and the people who do need those are more than likely like someone like me who would be going through fertility treatments, who does have a one, like each embryo is only 33% chance like to be effective to even take, and it's like, you want me to carry a dead child like to term? Like, that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Like, no, like you can't have one thing and then also be preaching something completely different and think that's
Mhm.
going to connect. It doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
Like, you can't say you want IVF. Okay, cool. Then the baby gets here or the baby isn't alive. And then what?
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. IVF is free. Then what? What is the next step? And it's
Mhm.
like these, I don't think that the logic behind what people are hearing is there. And that's what my concern is. Like, you hear buzzwords, and it's just like any election. You get the buzzwords, you get this, but you don't see beyond that one sentence. Like, this is where critical thinking is very important. And you can't just allow someone to gaslight you, which is pretty much what that administration is doing. They're just giving you buzzwords and gaslighting. And someone literally told me the other day that the reason why they were voting the way they were voting was because of how eloquently Vance spoke at the debate. And I'm like, so you're okay with someone lying to you, and just because he's an author, yes, he's going to speak eloquently. Like,
Mhm.
he's an author. That he writes for a profession. Like, so you're okay with someone lying to you to your face as long as they say it with sugar? That doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
Like, to me, like the logic behind that was just so like, are you okay? I literally just like want to be like, are you, do you need something? Like, what can
Yeah,
I
I
help
know.
you with?
It is sad and concerning, honestly.
Like, and I'm not trying to get political, even though we've been political for 15 minutes. I'm not trying to get trying to get political, but like, there are certain, like, I have family, very close family members who are completely opposite as me, political wise, which is fine. But we're not, I don't think that they sometimes realize just how harmful certain things can be. And
Yeah.
that's my only concern. Like, a lot of the things that you all say that you like and you agree with, like, can be very harmful. Like, you're so against abortion, that could be harmful towards me whenever I do decide to have a child. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think that, like, just because you decide you don't want that for your life doesn't mean someone else doesn't need it in theirs.
Exactly. And I think that's Something that I've noticed as well, especially after living abroad, is that I think a lot of Americans have a very individualistic point of view
Mhm.
where they look out for me and mine as opposed
Mhm.
to us and a collective.
Mhm.
And I think that is one of the biggest problems. Like,
Yeah.
I don't believe that's right. So I am only looking at my point of view, my
Mhm.
religion,
Mhm.
XYZ, without thinking of it in a broader context or as a collective or how things impact other people. Like, we don't
Mhm.
have that community collective point of view as Americans.
Right. I listened to your election episode yesterday, actually, and there was a point that you made when you were speaking about, I believe
Mm.
it was when you were talking about Gaza and
Hmm.
how the suffering of one person, like it really struck home for me. Like I rewound it so many times. I was just like, sure, let me hear that again. Sure, let me hear that again. When you said that when one person suffers,
Hmm.
we all suffer. And I think that's very important, especially as we do enter this election next week and we do, start getting into the holiday season. Like there are a lot of things going on with Israel and Gaza right now. And I think it's really important to remember that we are all one race, and that is the human race. And we
Yeah.
are all one piece of a universal collective body. And when you suffer, I suffer. And when I suffer, you suffer. And if we could stop the suffering for one another, we would be so much happier and so much wholer as a people.
Hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, and I'm not afraid to say, like, I'm definitely a supporter of Harris. I will definitely vote for her. But I disagree with her and Biden on their stance on Gaza. Like,
I agree. I
I'm
agree.
not gonna shy away from that. Like, will she be better than Trump on on that front? Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
But you can still say that you disagree with them, you don't support them on that. And you see the people in climate kind of starting to rally behind that. And I have to say, I did used to think of it as separate until I have some friends, who are of like Middle Eastern lineage and have family over there and things. And it was one of my good friends that kind of pointed out, like, hey, I just want to, kindly call you out on this. Like, these aren't separate issues, they are
Mm-hmm.
connected. And so I had to be called out on that because in my head, I was trying to separate the issues,
Yeah.
of climate versus our support of the war in Gaza. And I started to think about how and what we see, I think one of the best things about the climate movement and the environmental movement is that we're starting to look at things more holistically because, yeah, when you go and you drill for oil in this one place, like it doesn't just affect that one place, it affects the entire world. We are a holistic, interconnected ecosystem. Nature is an interconnected ecosystem. And we have to start thinking of ourselves as a part of that, which means the human race is also an
Mm-hmm.
interconnected ecosystem. We're all connected, we're all part of this. And so I think, particularly in climate, if you're saying you want a cleaner, greener future, a more just future, but you're ignoring what's happening to one people in one part of the world, you can't really stand behind that, And that, yeah, I'm always willing to learn and think about things differently and be open minded. And yeah, over the last year, my stance on that, I was always, not for the war in Gaza, obviously,
Yeah.
but I was looking at them as separate issues. And today, I don't think that anymore.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I think that, I don't know. I think that all the work that you're doing is really important. And if you guys get a moment, listen to Kat's podcast, Glo Eco. It is very inspiring, honestly. Like I'm gonna listen to the episode again on my way back home. Like I learned so much from it. Like, and I love learning. Like I'm always reading. I'm always like interested in like knowing more about different things, especially topics that I'm not very like familiar with and like culture or climate and things like that. So it's just really, I don't know, I think it's really important that we diversify ourselves a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Absolutely. And I learned a lot from you on the manifesting stuff because, like,
Yeah.
I think I started manifesting and kind of getting involved in that stuff, like, similarly around 2016. Like, my whole spiritual reawakening started happening around then.
Mhm.
But I kind of learned about it and then I've just been doing it one way for a long time. And it wasn't until I started following your work in this space that
Mm.
I started to look at it from a different point of view because I think you take the manifesting concept and actually make it more applicable and kind of to that like 10x degree.
Oh, thank you so
You
much.
do.
I love
Yeah.
that. I'm a master manifestor, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like,
You are.
always have been. And I didn't
Mhm.
even realize like that I was manifesting until I was just like, oh shit, like I gotta watch my words because everything I say is really powerful. Like that's insane, but it is what it
Mhm.
is. And I think that the power, even like no matter what your religious beliefs are, in whatever Bible it is that you're reading or what have you, whatever words you go to for your spiritual practice, they always specify the power of the tongue and
Mm.
the power of words. That is why you have a Gandhi. That is why you have a Buddha. That is why you have Jesus. Like, it is the words that they are speaking that get highlighted. Even in the Bible, when Jesus
Mhm.
speaks, it's in a different color. Why?
Yeah.
Because those words are important. And also, the power of the I am, I know
Mm.
carries weight heavily throughout each different practice, through a spiritual practice, through a Christian practice, whatever it is. Like, once people realize that there is no separation, is so much sweeter. I
It's
think
like a
that,
veil,
yeah, it's
you
fake.
know?
I think that a lot of the times, especially religions that are built on suppression,
Mm.
will try and tell you like you have to pray for this to someone else. You have to do this to someone else. You have to sacrifice to someone else. You have to do this to someone else instead of realizing that the things that you need are all within yourself.
Mm.
Like we might be getting kind of deep right now, but like you don't have to. It always confused me when I went to church.
Mhm.
And especially like growing up, I never understood why I had to ask for something from someone else. Like, why would I have to go to my pastor in order to talk to God?
Mhm.
Why can't I just do it myself?
Well, and that to me, and I grew up Christian. You know, my religion is Christianity, and so I can't speak to other religions because I haven't studied
Mhm.
them. But just from the Christian point of view, um, that is what made Christianity
Mhm.
the world altering phenomenon that it was.
Mm.
Because what Jesus did, Jesus of Nazareth, like even if you're not a Christian, like I would encourage everyone to look into the history of Jesus of Nazareth because what an impactful figure,
Right.
but why he was persecuted and what made him so dangerous to these people
Yeah.
was like he broke the mold of like you don't have to go to the synagogue to talk to God. You don't need a priest to talk to God. God is in me. God is in
Period.
you.
Period.
That's what made it so
Mhm.
rebellious and that's what changed the world, like having direct access to God as opposed to having to go to a temple. But then over history we kind of went reverse and
And went back. Yeah.
yeah, the Catholic
Yeah.
Church was like, "Nah, you gotta come to
Just
me,
kidding. Now you got to talk to me and you got to do all this stuff
and you gotta give
before.
me money."
And give all of your money. Yeah. Oh, our nails are the same color. I just realized that. I love that. Hi, fall.
Queen shit.
Literally. But yeah, no, like that's for me, that is when I realized that, that is what really took my manifesting to another level. Like, this is why these things are happening to me because I've been saying them about my life. And I
Mhm,
also know I'm about to, y'all are going to start throwing holy water at the screen or whatever for what I'm about to say. But I do not believe in having someone else speak over you. I
mm.
think anytime someone says they're praying for me or they ask if they can pray for me, I kindly decline.
Ooh,
Like,
interesting.
they do not, I don't know that person's heart. I don't know that person's motivations. I don't know. I don't know that person. Like,
Mhm,
it could be, and I see it a lot, like in hospitals, which I find odd. But like I was on an elevator with someone, she was pregnant, and this lady walked up to her and she was like, "Can I pray for you and your baby?" I got off the elevator. I don't know her. I don't know them. Like, you're speaking life over an unborn child. And we don't know the power that that person has or could have. Like,
mhm,
I take my power and my energy very seriously.
mhm.
I create a sacred temple around myself. I literally put myself in an invisible Merkaba, whatever, every day.
Yeah.
Like, every day, I fill myself with light every single day. Like, I do not allow anyone's words to penetrate my aura. And
Yeah.
I think that when you get to a certain level of spirituality, like, it's fine if you wanna, like, go to your prayer circles and stuff, like, that's no big deal, I'm assuming, but, like, I know for me and my spirituality practice, like, I will not allow anyone to speak life or death or whatever over me because I don't know the power of their tongue.
Yeah. But
And
what do you think about the concept, I'm just curious, of like sending someone positive intentions? Because that's how I've always looked at prayer. Like, how, what do you think about that? Like, if someone's like, I want to send positive energy, I want to send positive intentions to this person. What do you think about that?
I personally, I do this thing in the Akashic records where I remove negative thought forms.
Hmm.
So if someone is sending me something and if it isn't positive, it will get blocked and sent back to sender. So
Yeah.
if someone sends me positive energy, that's fine. I will know if it's positive or not. But that's just me as a person.
Yeah.
I when someone's going through something, I don't ever really say like I'm praying for you or I'm sending you positive vibes. I just let them go through whatever they're going through because at the end of the day, we create our own reality. And if someone wants to go through something, they can go through something
Yeah. And
and
if they want to seek help or advice,
they can
like
come.
they know they can come to you, and that's
Exactly.
different.
Yeah, that's exactly. Like I'm never going to be the type of person to which also I find really interesting. Do you ever get those messages on Instagram? They're like, "Hey, sending you positive light. What's your zodiac? I want to give a reading to you." Like if any
I get those.
psychic oh, really? Listen,
Never.
if any psychic or any person or any spiritual whatever is coming to you to tell you something or give you something, reject it because it is
Yeah.
not of good intentions. Like, I am never going to see someone like, for example, like, let's say someone's in the hospital and they post it on Facebook because people do that. If you don't reach out to me, I'm not going to reach out to you. And like that could be seen, in different ways. But if you are not open and willing and receptive of that certain energy, I'm not going to be able to provide that for you.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, I just thought about this, but like, think about the people who are posting, like, while they're in the hospital, like,
Hmm.
here I am, like, blah, blah, blah. Don't you think that's okay? Like, this sounds
Looking
bad,
for
but like,
attention.
it's an attention seeking
Yeah.
thing. Why are you focused on whatever, showing everyone on Facebook that you're in the hospital versus on, like, maybe actually healing? Like, I don't know.
It's wild. That's what I'm saying. Like
I wouldn't be posting.
you're not open for the energy to receive help. You're not open to that energy of receiving healing. You're in the energy of being a victim. That's fine. It's fine. I firmly believe that we create our own reality. That is what my book is about.
Yes.
That is what it is. I created my infertility for myself by repeatedly saying that I have infertility. I did that to myself.
Yeah.
And if we look back at all the bad things or horrific things that have happened to us, more than likely we allowed that into our lives. I'm not saying,
On
like,
some level.
yeah, I'm not saying like molestation and stuff was your fault or like whatever else is like your fault. Like I'm not saying like those types of things, but it's like, things happen, accidents happen. It is what it is. That's the part of the human experience.
Hmm.
But certain things, the majority of things are preventable. And like a lot of the things that happened to me when I was in college, for example, I allowed to happen. Like a
Hmm.
lot of the things that like went wrong in my life, I allowed to happen. I allowed that. And
Yeah.
the key is to identify that and like have a mirror to your face sometimes and be like, oh, so if I want something good to happen, I have to allow that to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And attracted, and
Be
yeah,
in the
for
energy
sure.
of it. Like, and it's harder to get out of the energy of being the victim, and it's
Hmm.
hard to get out of the energy of being the person that bad things happen to and end up being the person that good things happen to all the time. Like every day I wake up, everything always works out in my favor because I claim that, because
Yeah.
I speak that.
And at the end of the day, nobody wants to take responsibility for their own life,
100%. They
the
want to
good
blame
or the
somebody.
bad. You're responsible for the
100%.
good and the bad.
100%.
And on the one hand, it's like, isn't that a good thing? But then it's like, oh shit, that means I'm responsible for the bad stuff too.
Uh-huh. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That is it. That is it. And
It's
that is the
tough.
key to manifestation, people.
It is.
So so what are you manifesting lately?
Ooh, okay. Some things I'm manifesting, and we've talked about this a little bit. Some things I'm not ready to share yet because I do believe in keeping things close to your heart until it's in a confident enough space to
Mhm.
share, like with myself, like
Mhm.
me feeling confident about it and being clear. It takes me a long time to get crystal clear on certain things.
Hmm.
And so I don't want to share until I'm clear on what that is. But, on the whole, what I am manifesting is really shifting my career into the areas that I'm passionate about. I want to be spending, I do have a full time job, and I would like to be able to spend all of my time and energy on my life's purpose, on
I
the
love
things that
that.
I'm passionate about. And right now I'm still splitting my time because, got to make money.
Yeah.
And so I want to manifest like really having that my career, my all of my time and energy like going towards what I'm passionate about while making, the right salary at the same time. And so that's been what I've been manifesting for a long time. Now beyond that, what that is, I don't have that level of clarity yet that I'm ready to share on what that is going to be,
Mhm.
but that's the high level of kind of what I'm manifesting now.
I love that for you. I will say that I am manifesting. I initially wanted my book to be published by December, but I'm kind of thinking I want to do a spring rollout. I hear that spring is more profitable for publishers.
Mhm.
And if it ain't making money, honey, it ain't making sense.
I would say don't watch anything around the holidays because
Exactly.
everyone's spending the most advertising dollars possible to get eyes on their shit.
Yes, yes. So we're going to do a spring rollout. I'm really excited. I'm so excited about it actually, because one thing about me, if you know me really well, you know I don't like being asked questions. And I can't tell you the amount of times people ask me the same questions over and over about manifesting. It's like
Mm,
literally, if you guys would just follow me and look at my stories, I tell you. Like
yeah.
I literally lay it out plain as day. This is how you do it. This is what you do. Wake up being grateful. Go to your this I'm literally showing you all my day from start to
Mm,
finish. You see my sound baths, you see my meditations. Like I have free meditations on Insight Timer. Like
yeah.
there are so many things that I'm like giving and providing. So now I have a book. It's only going to be about 100 pages, which is ideal because I don't like reading with a lot of filler.
Mhm.
It's short, sweet, to the point. Here you go. There's your manual.
Yeah.
If that'll be 17.99.
And also, can we talk about like how much freaking filler is in self-help books?
Oh okay. I'm
They
going
could be
to
so much shorter.
my god, please. So I was reading the book that you also read, the second one by the person, the makeup person. You know
Yes,
what
yes,
I'm
yeah.
okay, I don't wanna throw her under the bus because but
Ugh,
if
that second
I
book was a doozy, man.
if I had a dollar for every time she said Oprah, I was gonna lose my mind.
I know.
Like, we've heard this story 1,001
I heard
times,
it in the
Monica.
last book.
Like 100 times. Like literally anytime I would look at a page, I would flip the page, I would scan it. If I saw Oprah, I skipped 4 pages.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to hear this story again.
Yeah.
We get it. We
And
get it.
and what and I'm like, maybe other people are like getting a lot from this, but the concept of that book in particular, I
Mhm.
don't think I've ever had an issue with.
I I was expecting it to be way more profound than it was.
Me too.
Like I
And
was
it was
actually
like
really disappointed by it.
I was too, but like I was like, maybe I just don't struggle with this. Do other people struggle with this? Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's something that I was overcoming. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Like, she's been in the same situation I am. Like, and now she's extremely successful and I'm extremely successful. Like, we're doing it. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I know. I know. I couldn't believe it. I was really
How is
surprised.
this a New York Times bestseller? Like,
Beats
how?
me.
I'll tell you how, because she was name dropping the whole time. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back. I'm going to revise my book. I'm going to name drop every single person. Every single person that I've ever worked with, like I'm name dropping. I'm going to name
Mhm.
drop so bad in there. And then it's going to be no, I'm just kidding. It's already going to be a New York Times bestseller because I said so.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so I know just to wrap, I know we been talking about manifestation and other things. What is a little piece of advice that you would give to someone or even your younger self for how to overcome blockages?
So the biggest one for me that I still have to come back to over and over again, and I'm hoping that I guess I should say I'm manifesting that I can overcome this, is momentum creates clarity and creates more
Mm,
momentum. Getting started and getting into it is the number one thing for me. And I know that, but I still forget it. And
mhm.
so I have had, we've been talking about it, like I've had some creative blocks with writing
Yeah,
for like months.
same.
But then it's like once I sit down and make myself do it,
Mhm.
it starts flowing. So don't wait until you feel the flow, create the momentum.
Create the flow. I love that. I love that. Create the flow. So I actually was reading, I forgot what the book was, but I was reading it and it said, as a writer, if you feel like you're experiencing writer's block, to just write one sentence a day. Make it a point to write one sentence a day. The next thing you know, you have a paragraph. Next thing you know, you have
Yeah.
a page. And when I started doing that, I literally finished my book in 3 days after doing
Yes.
that. Yeah. Like I just like, after starting that, I finished my book in 3 days.
Yeah.
Like, and then another thing, like for me personally, is realizing that fear isn't real and
Mm.
realizing that blockages aren't real. Have you ever seen a block? I've never seen a block. I've
Yeah, you're
never in
right.
my life seen a creative block because it isn't real. It isn't
Yeah.
something that's tangible. It isn't something that we're holding. It's something that's man-made. My ego made it up in order to God knows what. But
Yeah.
like it's literally just a pretend imaginary thing. Just
Yeah.
like in Mean Girls when Lindsay Lohan was like, the limit doesn't exist because it's not real. We've never have you
Yeah.
ever seen a limit? I've never seen one.
Yeah. And like, can your brain think thoughts? Can your fingers type or write? Then you have the ability to do this.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm also huge on when you have the vision, it is because a future version of yourself already has that. Like there are multiple things in life that I've never wanted because a future version of me doesn't have that. Like I never wanted to be in a relationship with Michael B. Jordan because I'm not in a relationship with Michael B. Jordan in any of my lives, my future life.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why I want a Porsche Cayenne is because I have a Porsche Cayenne, like
Hmm.
there are reasons why we want and crave certain things. And it's because in the moment we desire that is the moment our future self gets it.
Yeah.
Now, what am I going to do to get to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I also believe that God, universe, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
puts dreams on your heart that because they're meant for you. God doesn't put dreams on your heart that
Hmm.
aren't meant for you,
Exactly. I
you know?
always used to do this whenever I would give this example to like my clients and things pre Diddy scandal. I would always say, I never wanted to be in a relationship with P. Diddy because a future version of myself was never in a relationship with him. And now I got to change it to somebody else. So that's why I said Michael B. Jordan. But I always
That's
that would
funny.
always be it because he was like, before he was like, J Lo was with him and like all the hot girls were with him. Lori Harvey was with him. And I was just like, I never wanted to be in a relationship with him because I've never been in a relationship with him in my future life. So now I got to
Yeah.
change it to somebody else. I don't like Michael B. Jordan an example though. I feel like he's not like hot enough. We got to change.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. What's interesting is like I met my husband much younger than I thought that I would meet the man I was
Hmm.
destined to be with. I was 22, but I wasn't seeking a relationship. I wasn't trying to get married. So like I don't know how I manifested that actually. Like I really don't know.
It was meant to be. It was destined.
Yeah,
I
yeah. And
love
I was
that.
open to it when it did happen. I was like, I wasn't looking for my husband, but I found him.
Yep, perfect. All right, now I can focus on something else. I love
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so excited to chat with you. And I
I know.
will link the podcast and Glotanicals site in the show notes.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.